TBD Pod, episode 60. Frank Di Giacomo, finally back. Good, sir.
Good
When
to see
was
ya.
you were last on? Like
with Ryan.
freaking December, November? Like it's been a while.
No, it couldn't have been then because I was up north with the fam. January. Had
Was
to have
it?
been. Had to have been.
Maybe. Yeah, it's been a few months. Welcome back, good sir.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Calabro is here, founder of
Crowned in Tampa.
Crowned in Tampa Hat Co., which is now a sponsor. So we're going to have some amazing hats we're going to wear on the show today. I can't wear one. I got a meeting after this. Producer Tyler is going to come over and unbox in a second his gift from Crowned in Tampa.
That's exciting. Speaking of gifts.
Come over, dog. Come next to me and open it up so the camera can see. Is it a special hat? We got two Tylers here.
Is it a special hat?
Or is it just...
It's two different styles.
Very exciting. Is it the... I know.
Do we
which
need
one
a
it
knife? Frank, you have a knife?
No. I did see this this kid I met recently. His name's Mike. Every time he goes in the ocean, he keeps a knife on his leg.
Yeah, but sharks,
That's why. I thought it was
rabid
awesome.
sea turtles, you know, you never know what's out there.
I
Producer Stump.
Appreciate you, man.
don't even want to call you Tyler anymore.
No.
What up, producer?
Tyler, the producer. That's sick. That's a sick one.
Okay.
Is that
a-
leather?
Yep, leather patch.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
That's super cool.
Wait, we can't have my hat if we have a sponsor.
That's, well,
Just
That's
real
okay.
quick, lender suck hat. If you
yeah,
want one, let me know.
lenders suck. Lenders suck. Crowned in Tampa. I love it. Super cool. How much does this go for and where could someone buy one?
So yeah, crownedintampa.com. That one goes for $35.
Crownedintampa.com,
$35.
$35. Support local businesses, people. This is super dope.
Truly.
What's this one? Oh,
Everyone will
that's the
share
one Frank
Drake's
is wearing.
post. Share your boy's post. Yeah, this is in my opinion, this is my favorite. And they have the little this is the one with the golf tee holder, right?
yeah, that's dope.
All you golfers out there.
Love it. We'll pop it on top. Solid.
Cool.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you, Tyler. Calabro. Appreciate it, bro. Love the hats.
Gee, good to be back, man. Thanks for having me. Fourth
Yeah,
time.
of course. It's I always got to bring you on when I need like a break between like the CEO of the Selman Expressway and this guy and that guy.
I'm
you
the
know?
buffer guy.
Well,
Dude, I'll play that
It's
role,
nice
man.
for me to just have a casual conversation and talk about what else we've talked about on the show, catch up, lending. The market's changed so much. I know you said you don't really want to get
No,
into
no, no,
lending.
no.
I know
Yeah,
you've been
just-
working hard. It's
Yeah, I mean the market, the lenders in our space, it's becoming more saturated. Let me
Yeah.
put it that way. There's a lot more capital flowing into the rehab, new construction space on the single family or residential side. Makes things super competitive. It's a race to the bottom as far as pricing, leverage, and pricing is really what's winning these days. I think that's a huge misconception with borrowers. One thing to take in mind, I'll give you my recap and then we'll hop into the rest. But I think one thing borrowers may not know, or maybe they're forgetting, is that groups like mine are replacing your old banking relationships, right? And so, maintaining a relationship with us and it's always good to have a diverse bucket of capital. Right? Like having multiple lenders is a fantastic position as a developer because it's not a one size fits all. One lender may do things better than I and vice versa. So having multiple relationships is great, but like find a few and be loyal to them and spread the love. Like I do the same thing with title work and insurance work. I have guys that work extremely hard on the title side and insurance providers, and I try and give them all a little bit of business, and that's how you maintain a relationship. So
Yeah.
if the market ever goes sideways and takes a shit, for lack of a better term, you have lenders that are going to ride with you. Whereas, if you're always just moving to the lender who's going to give you, half a point less on the rate or half a point less on origination, when push comes to shove and you really need funding, you're not going to be first on the list.
No, you're not. The same thing is happening in my industry, the real estate brokerage industry. There's always going to be people that just value the easy way and the cheap way. Like in your business, that's what people do. Hey, just so you know, I'm talking to 5 different people. Whoever gives me the cheapest price, that's who I'm going to go with. Same thing for me. People are like, well, why do I need a realtor? I can just go on Zillow, find a house. People, it's like our professions, there's a value in beyond just finding a home. There's a value of, hey, I'm going to be your agent. I'm going to negotiate on your behalf. I'm going to facilitate a transaction for you So you don't have to do any of the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
It's advantageous to use a real estate agent. It really is.
I think
Our industry needs to do a better job of establishing that.
I think our industry is heavily relationship driven, and that's why the first thing I say to anybody is build your team and trust them, and that's going to be those are going to be the guys that you ride through your career with. And I'm certain things change here and there, but the first thing you should do is develop your team, and I think there's a level of trust that needs to be given by both parties or all parties involved. It's like, hey, we have a common goal here, and once you guys are aligned on the foundation of what the group is, right? Like, stick with those guys.
Yeah.
It's just like a relationship or a marriage, right? Not to bring it back to love, but
right. It's the same in any business or industry. Like, it's nice to have a little group of people that you work with that you can turn to for advice. When things shift in an industry, you can call 3 experts that are going to have answers. But if you haven't established those relationships and you're just going with the cheapest person, you don't really have a good relationship to rely on in the future if shit goes down.
And a lender, right? A lender and a borrower, it's a two-way street, right? We always say capital partner because we feel like we truly are a partner. We're not just your lender. We're not just giving you money. And one thing I wanted to stress before we move into the rest of the pod is how to be a good borrower. And we always talk about how to be a competitive lender, but what does it mean to be a good borrower when it's a relationship or a partnership? There's weight held by both parties.
Yeah.
And when you are a good borrower, you're going to get preferential treatment by your lender.
Right.
Right. So what does that look like? First and foremost, both sides is communication, the ability to communicate. But from a lender's perspective, when you get a borrower who is organized, you are going to prioritize his deal because you know that you're going to be able to move it quickly through the pipeline and get it to the closing table. So what does that mean? If you were to dive a little deeper on that, when we're requesting documents, if you send everything in piecemeal, well, that's a no-no, right? That's a pain in the butt because it means you didn't take the time to organize it, so now I have to take the time to organize it. And so if someone sends me, you're sending me things in piecemeal, but then you have another borrower who takes the time to correctly label, his agreement of sale and his budget and his entity docs, and he sends it in one zip file and makes it extremely easy for me. When I'm slammed on a Friday and I know, I only have so much time to move, the next file along, which one am I going to take? Right? It's going to be the one that's buttoned up.
Yeah, right. Because from the bank's perspective, they look at you as more qualified. If you're more organized, if you're ready. Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of dealing with that right now. I need to refinance my commercial property in Tampa Heights. And I spoke with Bank of America and they're like, yeah, we don't have much of an appetite for lending like that right now, or like, a loan of that sort right now. And I'm curious, is that me? Is it because I'm just casually calling the guy and asking, or is it a relationship? If I had sent him an email instead of a phone call, like how much of lending is relationships and how much of it is just by the numbers?
I would tell you right now.
Granted, Bank of America, a lot different from where you're at, iFundCities.
For sure. Private debt fund, shadow bank is what we're often referred to. I would tell you that traditional banks, like Bank of America is a fantastic example. If you don't have a long-standing relationship with them currently and a depository relationship with them, it'll be very tough to develop one now. I think a lot of guys are waiting to see what happens throughout the remainder of 2024. Do you like the flavor, by the way?
It's a good flavor, but it's like burning the shit out of my lip. So
Really?
This is, by the way, this is a local company?
No.
Clearwater.
Support local business.
This whole the beginning of the podcast is like one big sponsorship. As I'm also drinking a Storm Energy.
One of our
We're not
favorites.
sponsored by any of these people except Crown and Tampa Hat Company, but Storm is incredible. It's healthy energy. Like
second location. They just
second
got
location on Kennedy. Super nice ownership. There's one on Kennedy and then there's one on McDill. Really, really good stuff. But this is called Healthy Dip. Mango habanero flavor. It's good, man, but it's spicy as shit. Like the inside of my cheek is burning.
That's
I
the
guess if you're
habanero.
trying to kick the zen, this is a
Yeah.
good alternative.
Well, part
right?
of the oral fixation is the burn.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm not into it. I'm going to switch sides.
Yeah. Or just you spit it out. But not into your Storm Energy drink.
Yeah, no. Let me finish that thing first. It's good. It's got like what? Green tea, vitamins. Interesting.
Pass it over here. I'll
Cool
throw another
stuff.
one in. Yeah, so anyway, I would say there's not much of an appetite for commercial paper right now unless you have a long-standing relationship with them. And there's just not many groups lending on commercial as it is.
Yeah.
You have your life insurance companies that are super competitive, but Typically they're not a small balance group. So like they're going to look for loan sizes above $1 million, 2 million, something that's,
It's a
I don't know
small
if
loan.
worth their
It's like-
time is the right word,
It's
but
400 is the
Yeah.
amount.
Yeah.
But I've been with them for a decade.
Bank of
I
America.
have a lot of cash with them. And
Then I'm
it's
surprised.
It's interesting. Their appetite, using their word, is really strong for my money. Oh, you put your money with Merrill Lynch and come in here and, oh, sir, blah, blah, blah. And then as soon as I need a loan, well, our
Yeah.
appetite's not exactly strong.
So
right
we're
now.
trying to move. One thing our leadership does a great job of, shout out to Ryan, Brian, and Chris, is they're always looking at ways to grow our product suite and how to expand our platform. So we have heavy interest in retail construction, mixed use development, larger or mid-sized multifamily deals. I'm sure we've spoke about it on previous podcasts, but that middle tier developer building, mid-sized multifamily is the most unserviced group in the real estate development space right now. So Ryan's always done a fantastic job of being one step ahead of our competition, right? I mentioned we're getting saturated. And so he's going, okay, well, what other products can we bring to market to help our guys who are doing crazy new construction right now at volume spec, move into maybe the next level of development. Also very interesting. I was listening to a podcast with Doug Yearley, who is the newer CEO of Toll Brothers.
Okay.
We know Toll Brothers, but what he said that was extremely interesting to me, and I feel a bit elementary not knowing this, but they're production spec builders. But the way that they described it is they build a lot of 5 and 6 series BMWs, and they don't build the 3 series BMW. They said Lennar and Dave Weekley, and they do a very good job at that, and so that's not the space that they play in. They're in that like $750 to $1 million price point range at scale, right? So they're almost a combination of custom builds because they have so many different modifications in house that you could make to your model, but it's still streamlined. And so anyway, he said they're extremely bullish on that mid tier luxury, like affordable luxury, if you will, that $750 to $1 million price point, which is.
You see that so much in Tampa.
Right.
That's product like that is going up everywhere. It's insane.
So our institutions they have a bigger appetite for that product right now. But anyway.
So that means what? You guys can expand a little bit into that market? Like, what does that mean for iFundCities?
Yeah, so I just think, single asset exposure risk is always a thing, right? It's like, do we want to put a $3 million loan here where if it goes sideways, that's $3 million? Or do we want to spread that out across, 10, 20 deals?
So not only you guys, but also your institutions like to spread that risk out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like anybody else, diversity of risk is, the name of the game. Anyhow.
What about the big $3 million loan though? Is that goes back to like Bank of America would be more interested in something like that?
I don't think so. No. I think every private lender has their niche and has something that they do really well and something that they like for their reasons. I have a buddy here locally who works for another shop. His name's AJ, and there are things that they do on the rehab side that beat me, right? Like maybe a lower credit requirement, and they're still in that same bucket of capital, institutional hard money. They may require a lower credit score. They may do a smaller term where I do a longer term. Like and that's why diversity of capital is so important, because it's not a one
one
size
the straw
fits
in the
all.
way of Frank's head. Oh Jesus!
Oh, it's
I'm finished
okay.
up anyway.
Yeah, that's all right. Sorry. Sometimes you just got to wear one.
How are we doing on the battery? We got new cameras, new mics, working out the kinks.
Yeah, I've been trying to transition. We always talk about me.
Spitting this thing out.
Yeah, it's okay. It's not for everybody.
It's like kick me in the ass tea. It's so strong.
Just trying to get all. Do you feel the
Good shit,
caffeine?
though. Oh yeah.
Do you really?
Good feeling. Like I like the little
Very
kind of
interesting.
tingly in the lips, but
Can we
I've had
take a
enough.
step back, G? We were just talking before we started the pod. I was probably the second or third episode. Tyler, in the room, producer of every episode, was the first. Our buddy was the third. Can we go back to like
Mr. Ishan?
shout out the brainchild that is Tampa Bay Developer Pod? I just don't think there's enough.
The origin story?
Yeah, the origin. Like, there's not enough light shined on you and why this podcast was started. I think everybody understands that you have a deep love for Tampa, but what really sparked this? And then let's talk about like what sparked this. you know, what the process was like getting started, like bootstrapping a podcast and then watching it grow over the, you know, year, a little over a year that you've been doing this, and then what your vision is to grow this thing.
I mean, in terms of starting it, not much, right? Like anyone can start a podcast with a couple cameras and mics. But I always had quality in mind. So from the jump, I tried to buy like the best, you know, camera and the best microphone and all that. And I think initially that's why a lot of people started to watch, because it wasn't like BS from the beginning.
Right,
you know, you can
right.
actually watch it and the sounded good and looked good and all that. But as far as starting the pod, I mean, my love of Tampa, right? That's why I did it. I was focused on being a realtor at the time, also a broker, right? So I wanted to do some sort of a content piece for real estate. And a lot of realtors were doing, you know, the thing on TikTok where they're like pointing at all the disappearing icons and like little things, and they're doing the dances and everything. And I was like, I don't want to do that. You know, I want to do something a little more maybe serious, a little more informative. And I was like, podcast, like that's a good move. So it started out as a kind of a content piece for my business, but I also love Tampa and I wanted to do almost like an informational show for people that have moved here over the last few years. There's a lot of new people in Tampa and they don't know kind of some of the culture and the history about our city, Cigar City and Ybor City and all that sort of stuff. So from the jump, I wanted to get on historians, and we had on Scott Deiche, who wrote the book Cigar City Mafia, that talks about the underworld of the Tampa mafia scene. And like that, he was episode, I don't know, like 8. Do you remember, Tyler? He was early on.
What was it like in the early stages?
So it just developed.
Yeah. But getting guests at the beginning, right? New podcast, you know,
Friends at first, right?
Yeah,
Like,
right.
Tyler, yeah, you'd have to scroll. Oh, you already scrolled back. Yeah, Studio HB, Frank, there you are, episode 3. Dude, it was just, episode 2 is my cousin, Lat, St. Pete Pop Art. He's since opened that art studio. I got to get him back on.
Yeah.
But you can see, like, before episode 1 on the page, I was just posting Tampa stuff, growth, development. Pause there, Tyler, because I added in some of my projects too. So it's like a lot of development stuff, history, and then before that, the reason I started the page was to show off my projects. So I was like flipping some houses. I had some commercial projects, like rentals, stuff like that.
Wow, look at that bad boy.
Yeah, that was the first
Miss
little
Peaches.
commercial building we bought. Yeah, there's the before and after. Go to the inside, Tyler. I don't know how old this picture is. This is early on.
Shout out Miss Peaches.
Shout out Miss Peaches.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yeah, Dave Portnoy's pup. So yeah, I mean, I started it to show off some renovations I was doing, but the podcast idea came way later. And initially, I don't know, I guess I just didn't have the balls to invite any big guests or anything like that. I just wasn't thinking like that. I was just like, let's get some friends on, some real estate guys. Sean, Serenity Capital Management, talk about what he was up to. You were in the real estate space, lending space. Actually, you weren't lending at the time, right?
The first, no, I was talking with iFund.
You were talking with iFund, but
I
you weren't.
I was with TD Wood.
TD Wood.
Yeah, out of Miami.
But we had you on to talk about Studio HB, your rendering you did. And all that.
I was just super stoked about that. Because I hadn't seen.
Then we had
like
Max Herman, Ybor City Walking Tours. He was awesome. He's been on twice. I want to get him on again. That was episode 7, like digging deep into Tampa
we're starting
history.
to get there. The guests start to grow.
The
now.
vibe evolved, and then like mute that, Tyler, but click that video. So my family's been in Tampa for like 100+ years, and the story is super cool. My family came from Sicily to Tampa. My great-great-grandparents rolled cigars. They worked in Ybor City.
That?
That's an old bottle from Ybor City Bottling Company. That's a level from my family's old hardware store that was opened in 1926. And then on the left is my great-grandmother Rose's cigar rolling equipment. So I don't know, like I just had this personal connection through family to old Tampa. So really early on, I wanted to show that off because I think it's cool, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people moving here don't know that history, and they've reached out and said it's cool too.
I definitely didn't.
So go back, Tyler. You can scroll up too. You can see how the guests evolved along the way, right? Like I wanted to get in touch at the University of Tampa and talk to them.
Yeah, you've pulled from all over the
Pulling
city.
from all over. And then as I've pulled from all over, hearing those different perspectives have led me to different guests too.
Yeah, it's almost a catch-22 because Tampa Bay developer, it started as a real estate thing, and you hear developer and you're like, oh, real estate. But now
Right.
it's like Tampa developing as a city.
Developing
period.
as a city, period. That's exactly right.
New
Like
tenants,
go to
people.
Kate Corsack down. So she was a senior at the University of Tampa. She's since graduated. I think she works for
She was a killer.
Cushwake. Yeah, she was
she's a
the
killer.
president of the real estate club. And the reason I had her on is because University of Tampa, I learned kind of through the podcast and through other relationships. Some of my associates went to UT.
Alma mater of.
That's right.
Yeah.
And a lot of those kids are staying in Tampa. That fascinated me. For years past, they would graduate and go back up to the Northeast, but now they were all staying here. And I was like, that's an interesting dynamic. Let me have her on. And she said the same thing. She's staying here. All her friends are staying here. Like Tampa is the it city. So through knowledge, I've learned things, and then I've wanted to have on guests to explore certain topics too. This is actually kind of fun to go
And
back
just
through
hearing the
this. I've never
mentality
done
of
this.
different people that are moving here is extremely interesting. Like
Cigar City Mafia, there he is.
Kate. So where was Kate from? Was she-
Connecticut, I believe.
Yeah.
No, Boston.
Got
She's
it.
from Boston. Yeah.
Well, the new Northeast, right?
That's right. Scroll up, Cigar City Mafia, Joe Fall, Beta Bay Properties. He's the guy building Starbucks, 7-Eleven, like all the Woody's
Major
Wash
commercial
Shacks. Yeah,
developer.
major commercial GC. I think he was, Tyler, like the first big real estate guest GC who really expanded my mind. And I was like, damn, I want to dig more into that topic.
Who's that?
Bobby Sorori.
Oh,
he was
yeah,
awesome
yeah,
too.
yeah.
He's doing Numi Tampa across
Yep,
from
yep.
UT. Younger developer dude, super cool guy.
He's the one developing, rehabbing the old hotel.
Numi Tampa.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what it's called. Got it.
Yeah, there's actually the Instagram. Yeah, Numi Living. So that's student
Great,
housing
dude.
project. Then go back, Ty. This was fun to go through.
You know, it's funny.
looking
Isabella, when we first moved here, she's like, I always wanted to buy that thing. I always
back. I
wanted to turn
know
it
he got a
into-"
great deal. He paid like 2.8 or 3 million or something for it.
Now you
and
have
I-
the cigar factory turning into a hotel.
Right.
Fantastic.
I know. I wish we could do something like that. We've talked about that before. We'll have to find an opportunity.
We'll figure it out.
Alex Rios Architecture. And then Kimberly Curtis was amazing too. She's opening
She
that
Gold's Gym.
badass Gold's Gym. Yeah.
When's the delivery on that?
Well, it's been pushed out like many projects, you know how it goes. But
How do you think?
she initially said, so when was this? May 19th last year. I think on that episode she said like October, November, but they're still not open.
Got
and
it.
here we are in March.
Do
so
you think?
I think they'll open soon.
What do you think? I mean, it's two different environments: a Gold's Gym versus a Lifetime Fitness. But how do you think that?
I think there's enough to go around.
I
like
agree.
the amount, not only the amount of people living in the urban core that would use both of those gyms, but also just the growth.
I'm
The
surprised there's not
delivery
more
of
luxury.
thousands of apartments, like all those people are going to need gyms to work out at. And right now there's only Crunch downtown. There's like a CrossFit gym in Channelside. I forgot the name of it.
The flip side to that is there's a lot of luxury buildings downtown that offer some form of gym
Yeah, but
or amenity building.
a lot of people like to get a membership and go to it's like a social thing for people in a lot of
Oh,
ways.
dude, of course.
And then what else we got, Ty? Keep scrolling. This is fun to go back through.
Episode 15. We got a long way to go. What are we episode?
Yeah, we'll skip ahead. Connor
No,
Oliveri.
no. Let's run it.
Drew Newman too. That
Newman
was
Cigars.
that was another great history podcast to talk about not only the history of Cigar City, but then Drew's ambitions as the fourth generation owner of JC Newman Cigar Company. So they own a little bit of real estate around their factory, and they're going to be developing a boutique hotel, a park.
Get
I
out.
think they have plans for apartments. Yeah, and this is north of 275.
How long have they owned that? A while,
long,
right?
long
Yeah.
time. A long time. Maybe 100 years or so. Look at that thing. The American. And then I had my grandfather on, which was awesome.
The legend.
Mayor Dick Greco. Yeah. Still kicking. Turning 91 years old this year. So what is that? June 16th, 2023. Yeah. Yeah. And just kept going, man. And then like
I mean, what's crazy is if you,
digging into having an artist and then getting into that whole scene, learning about the Tampa
that
art
Tyson?
community. Yeah. Mike Tyson. That was Rojo the artist. So it's just evolved, man. It's evolved, but what's kept me doing it is my love for Tampa at the core, and then digging more into topics that keep me interested. So it's not, like you said, it's not development. It's not just real estate. It's like the actual growth and literal development of
the
Tampa.
city, its culture, how it's changing, shifting over
Exactly.
time.
Yeah.
Go up, Tyler.
Grand Cathedral Cigars, Tyler Stump, Angela Yu is awesome. I'll have to have her back on. And then pause here, Tyler. This is so, I can't remember if I reached out to her or she reached out to me, but this is where we started working with the actual city of Tampa, the government. And so Hannah Webster came on. She was producing a show with the communications department at the city called Grime Fighters, almost like Dirty Jobs, but for the city of Tampa. So they would work with code enforcement or, waste management, water department, whatever,
Very cool.
and highlight dirty jobs around the city. So I think that was the first time we talked to a city official. And then since then we've had, like, what was it, 2 weeks ago, last week, the city planner. And we're still in talks with maybe getting like waste management director on.
I texted you last night showing the Theo Von clip talking about the zoning codes is absolutely bananas.
I had to
be
ask
done,
him
dude.
that,
Had
dude.
to be done.
I'm sitting in front of the guy in charge of zoning, right? The city planner at the city of Tampa. I have to show him the Theo Von video. He hadn't seen it
was
before.
even better that he had not seen it
right
already.
He's like, no, I haven't seen that.
He's
and
like,
and
"What?"
Theo Von's like, I don't know if you know Tampa, the zoning in Tampa, and the guy's right there.
Man,
the
him
planner.
talking about Ybor is hilarious too.
I know.
How much has this expanded your network? Like outside of just learning more about the city, what other benefits?
Benefits to me, first of all, it's just cool, right? At the base of it. It's so cool to learn all these different things about Tampa. The network is amazing. I mean, I'm getting to meet these incredible people I probably wouldn't otherwise come across. Not only come across, but sit down with them for like
And have a real
an
conversation.
hour plus, have
Yeah.
a real conversation, talk before the pod, after the pod, oftentimes reconnect with them, get lunch with them, just learn more. Like from the city planner to some city department or a developer, like whatever it is. Yeah, man.
And you've grown from, it was what, 31,000 at the beginning of the week, 35 now. So it's moving, right?
Yeah.
How's it changed from, you start out and I'm one of
Well,
the
go to
first
those
guests
two reels, Tyler. Like hit the reel slide.
to look at the views.
Yeah, we've gotten thousands in the last few days because
What's
the
it
Theo
like
Von
now
clip.
getting guests? Do you have people reaching out to you? Do you feel like it's been easier to reach out?
I mean, we've been booked up for like 6 weeks. I haven't reached out to anyone for a new guest in a while, just because we only do one episode a week. So if I have 5 guests, that's a little over a month, right? I do want to get in a quicker pace. Michael Kelly, VP of USF Athletics, was awesome too, talking about the new USF stadium. That's
What's
such
the
an
cost of that
asset to our
project?
school. That's like a $300+ million project. And USF owns a ton of land in their area up there in North Tampa, and they own a golf course. I think it's across Fowler,
Well, that's
which they're going to develop eventually.
One of
day,
the
too.
largest development zones
Right.
alluded to by the city planner. Yep.
Stephen Benson, the city planner, talked about Tampa really has 3 downtowns: downtown proper, West Shore, and then that area around USF is another high growth area.
And then they just announced that
that's the Uptown project,
Wow, dude,
which was the
look at that.
former University Mall, I believe. Tampa, USF. The comments too, like some of these comments are hilarious. That's another thing that I've learned is like, how do I explain something on the podcast if it's a very intricate topic to where the viewer doesn't have a sort of bias that's incorrect? Because the last thing I want to do is have on the city planner and have him talk about something in terms of growth in the city, which is a very touchy subject. I mean, the people that have lived here for a long time don't want to see the traffic and the noise
The
and all the
NIMBYs.
people. Yeah, like it's sensitive, right? And I don't want to.
There's no way to avoid that entirely.
No, there's no way to avoid it entirely for sure, but there is a way to ask the right questions to where you get a real answer and the truth, and then the audience can kind of take that how they want it, versus me asking a loaded question or having a conversation directed in a certain way. I've never talked to like a PR representative and had them say, you should really go in this direction or really try to focus on this. Like, I wouldn't do that. Like,
Well, uncut and it's the way to do it, right?
yeah, more than uncut though, you know, like I didn't have to talk to the mayor or whatever when I had on the city planner. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not getting a direction as far as what I should talk about.
Right.
And I think the reason is I've just made it really clear that I want to be super neutral.
How do you?
And I don't have a bias. I
how
really
do
don't.
you
I just want
prep-
to learn, really.
So we go off the cuff, but like if city planner as a perfect example, when he's coming on the show, is there any sort of prep work that you do beforehand in emails explaining what you'd like to cover?
Yeah. If they ask for it, like the CEO of Thea, so they own the Selman Expressway, Meridian Avenue, and the Tampa, what is it called? Tampa Greenway? Selman Greenway. You know, he's in charge of an interstate system, right? A highway system. So their PR for their projects is super important. So their team
That's why I
reached out
asked.
and was like, what are you going to talk about? Like, so we can prepare our CEO. And so for me, I just sent them a couple questions that I knew I was going to ask. And some of them are tricky, right? Like one of the questions I asked them was, dude, so a highway is ugly. It's concrete. It's big, right? It's in the middle of our city. How do you combat that with making it like kind of a beautiful aesthetic
I was gonna ask,
place?
when do you feel it's appropriate to push the needle? Do you even think about it? Like when you can ask a difficult question?
I always do. I feel like I always do. I don't shy away from a difficult question because I try to say it in a way that the guest feels inclined to answer. Like, and it also comes from a genuine place. Like, I really want to know how the CEO of a highway system that runs through the middle of my city, your city, Tyler Squared city, right? Like, it's ugly, dude. It's concrete and it looks shitty and it's old and it's what are you
Fix it.
what are you doing to make that a more beautiful feature in our downtown? Like,
Right.
we're not talking about a highway all the way out east. We're talking about a highway that literally blows through the middle of downtown. And like, he respected the question and gave a respectful answer. And the answer is amazing. And Tyler, can you pull up? Do you still have from yesterday?
We're gonna
plans?
pave the streets
It
with
is
gold.
insane. Maybe on your history, internet browser history. Just don't show
Chocolate
Calabro.
milk will come out of the water fountains. That's what I ran on as middle school president.
It all comes from a genuine place of me wanting to understand how these different players plan on growing and developing Tampa, right? So the motive from me is genuine curiosity, but also from this almost defensive, like, don't fuck up my city type vibe.
You're the voice of the city?
Not
Yeah,
really.
I mean, in essence, right?
Maybe.
You're
I don't know.
native.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I
It's-
would say I could certainly represent like the people that have lived here for a while that see all the changes and maybe fear we're turning into something we don't want to be.
Sure,
I don't
maybe.
want to be Miami. If I
Definitely
wanted
not.
Miami, I would move to Miami. Like, I do not want Tampa to be this overgrown, fucked up mess of a city. I really truthfully don't want that. Because why? I live here. Like, I have a
think that'll-
baby and a wife. We live here. You live here. Like, I don't want it for me. I'm
Sure.
selfish in that way. So when I ask a question about what are you guys doing to turn this ugly highway into something that's more usable and beautiful for all of us to enjoy, it's a genuine question.
And
And,
then
the answer was incredible, Tyler. If you can look at this, what they've got planned,
The
man.
lifestyle will also be driven by the commercial tenants that move here, right? Like,
But it's all a part of the same thing, right?
Right.
Like, would the Selman Greenway plan on this amazingly gorgeous
this is
expansion
bananas.
if Water Street didn't exist, right?
Sure.
If all the growth wasn't happening? Probably not. So all of the growth is connected in this way. And look at his plan to turn this highway into, honestly, like a destination, like a place where you'd actually want to visit. Look how beautiful this is, like landscape and vegetation, walking paths, and they're going to turn a stormwater pond
Fitness
into
station.
like a environmental, beautiful
Love.
outdoor water feature, bike lanes, pickleball, table tennis under a highway. It's genius. We talked too, like, you know,
Table tennis is a new one. I like that.
well, look, he's got table tennis, he's got cornhole, you know, so his answer to me asking him, what are you doing with this ugly highway, is the perfect answer. We're going to turn it into a beautiful place for people to enjoy. Look how long it is too. So his idea is you could hop off the Riverwalk, walk or bike or whatever through the Greenway all the way to Gasworks and Ybor City.
It's a connection. Got it.
It's like a mid-city.
It's a
It's
major
a river.
artery.
It's an urban river walk that
Yep.
goes through downtown.
Just
It's
a major artery in
incredible.
the city.
It's amazing.
It's crazy when you look back at when you started the pod, right? You go and you look at all the development and everything that's been announced, and it's like Tampa keeps reaching a new benchmark.
I can't believe it.
It's crazy, right? So
It
you hit
is.
one, you're like, okay, phase one of whatever is completed, and then new project comes along, and this is happening here, and then you have the mixed use development that was just announced yesterday.
Yeah,
in
go on
the
Instagram
Heights.
and pull that up, man. Ellison Development. You could probably go to Ellison Development on Instagram, and I think they've put it up on their site.
It's like the bar keeps getting raised, and you're like, man, when does it stop? Right?
Crazy. Yeah. And then here we are in this environment where the debt market is messed up. The real estate market has slid a little bit. It's not as crazy as it was. And yet, look at the growth. Look at the projects being approved. It's still happening. People are still moving here.
Yeah. Do you have any insight as to what our population growth? Obviously, it had to have slowed
So
down, right?
when I had Stephen Benson on, they had a statistic that was 90,000 people have moved to the city since 2010. Tampa had a population of, I believe, 300 to 350,000. So you're talking about like what, a 25, 30% increase since 2010.
That's crazy. And
That's fucking insane.
in Cape Coral, I read that the current population is around 210,000, and in the next 10 years, they might hit 300,000.
Yeah.
Right. Just to give you an idea of scale.
There's other indicators too, right? It's not just people moving here. That's not the only metric. Like we shot the episode yesterday with Greg Slater. So he's, again, the CEO of Thea. They're looking at data from traffic to plan their next moves. What was the exact
Interesting.
statistic, Tyler? It was like they had projected highway ridership of in 2030, the year 2030, at a certain number. They surpassed that number in like 2022. So the numbers that they were projecting would be using the highway
Blown out of
in
the water.
2030 are already blown out of the water.
Yep.
So they're like, holy shit, we need to figure out a way to plan. That's why they're trying to accelerate everything they're doing. So yeah, Ellison Development, nearly $1 billion mixed-use development that will bring high-rises to Tampa Heights is officially approved. This was Tampa Tomorrow's post. What is it? Last night, I guess. So here we are again, another massive mixed-use project poised to occur between Armature Works, Gas Works, right in the center there, north side of downtown Tampa Heights.
Just
Yeah, man,
expanding
the
skyline.
puzzle is coming together. Another thing too, I've really, all of this being said, right? My knowledge with meeting all these people and digging into these topics, something else that I didn't think would happen is a level of frustration, and that's with
On
like
your side or the public?
local government being in the way of positive changes that are going to help manage the growth in this city.
Is that them trying to satisfy the long-term residents of Tampa and also maintain a
lot of
level
it.
of growth?
A lot of it, which I completely understand. And I do want to get someone who advocates for a group like that on the show, like someone who has a logical and coherent argument about why we should stop development. I would really love to hear a perspective like that on the show.
Well, I mean, you could imagine what that response would be.
I can imagine what someone would say, but I want to hear it from their lips.
Sure.
And I want to not argue it, but certainly challenge the point and see because my whole point is you can't stop people from moving here, right? If you stop development, we're going to have an even worse housing crisis where prices are insane. Like it's already very hard to afford Tampa if you're born here. If you're coming from New York from a high salary or from, if you have cash moving from California, you're not really worried about that. Like I'm
Well, you have
worried
a
about the
massive
people
wealth
that have lived
transfer
here.
now. You have a lot of parents who are helping, their 30-year-old children
But
buy their first
not
house.
everyone has parents that can help them. Number one, and number two, look at our boy Vinny. Like we've talked about Vinny a couple times on the pod. Like he wasn't able to buy a house here because
bought a
the
beautiful
market was
house
so
in
crazy.
Charleston.
Yeah, and so he moved to Charleston. So here's a young kid, college educated, graduates UT, ready, willing, able to enter our workforce, contribute to our economy, and yet he can't live in Tampa. He has to move That's not a good thing.
Yeah, I know the haters are going to say, well, he could rent for a few years and save up money, which is a fair point.
then,
But
dude,
if that's
rent's
the
expensive,
lifestyle
though.
he wants. Yeah, we're what, on our third month of rent decreases here, though? Are you scared of an absorption issue with all of the multi-units being
I
developed? Or do you
think
think
there's something's got to give, right? Like at a certain point, there has to be a higher level of decrease in prices and rent. But then again, on the same side of the coin, you see this approved, and then you look at the statistics of people moving here, and it's like, maybe we don't slow down. I don't know anymore. I really don't know.
Me either. Well, you hear different things every day.
Yeah. But what I was saying about being frustrated is there's a lot of opposition for development, and I'm not sure that that's a productive conversation when on the same side of that token you have people like Vinny who can't afford to live here, and instead of contributing to our economy, he moves to South Carolina.
Where do you hear it? Do you just see it in your comments?
I hear it I've been like kind of following some city council meetings, and I'm seeing some comments on social media. I'm looking at projects that were not approved, whether it's based on a tree issue, whether it's based on
Tampa loves
density.
their trees, man.
Yeah, and we do have an amazing tree canopy, one of the largest in the world. Like if you look at a satellite view of Tampa, they're so green. I mean, it's really amazing. We have a unique feature here with these trees. But we're also a city.
Your deep love for those are the comments.
That's not even, that actually is the worst angle, because if you go, because South Tampa has an amazing canopy. Like look at the area around Palmacia and South, how green. Look at all the trees south of Kennedy Boulevard. I mean, that's an incredible thing.
Right here.
Like go to Denver, Colorado. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you
sure.
get
Go to
blasted.
Manhattan.
Yeah, wherever,
LA.
right? Like we do have this incredible tree canopy, but that's another conversation, right? Like we have an incredible tree canopy. Trees are beautiful. Trees contribute to the environment, oxygen, like shade, etc. But we're also a city. People live here. We're in an affordable housing crisis.
That
we need
gives you a better
development.
look.
How do you balance the two? Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's amazing to have all these trees.
Do you think we'll see residential development
It's beautiful, man. Look at that.
spread down south of the peninsula close to McDill?
Oh yeah,
With
you're
it
already
being in
seeing
a
it.
flood, I know, but it's a flood zone, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not many people have ventured that far down. Now there's still affordable homes there. I think you see
Yeah,
a lot
Tyler,
of rehabs.
go south, zoom out. I'll show you an area that's being heavily developed right now.
I'm seeing more and more residential new construction down that way, and I was curious to hear your take on it.
You're going to see a lot of it because MacDill Air Force Base probably employs like 20,000 people.
Sure.
So Central Command is headquarters there, which is the command for the Middle East.
Yeah.
Special Operations Command is headquartered there.
New construction is so needed today because
All that south there, Tyler, at the top of the screen, you can kind of see it almost looks like a suburban subdivision. So zoom into that pocket. Look at all these new homes, hundreds of new homes.
Well,
in
the
this
old
area.
inventory just doesn't, for the new home buyer, it's like, do I want to spend money on this home that's, built
Look
in
at
the 50s?
these are all new, Frank. All this is new. I mean, there's some old streets in here, obviously,
Wow.
but you can see all these new homes. So yes, it's pushing south. It's pushing everywhere.
Zoom out, Tyler. I'm sorry, I didn't see where
South
we're
of Gandy.
Got it. Yeah. Okay.
So MacDill, Picnic Island Park.
Yep.
And then look to the DeBartolo development. What's that called? We've talked about that before.
The Marina District,
No,
the three
like
towers.
this huge piece. I forgot what that development was called, but it's DeBartolo. It's an entirely new, large residential development.
Isn't some of this land
Right off
owned by
West
the
Shore.
military? Is there not?
Yeah, there's an amphibious assault battalion.
Look at this guy.
I think right here on the side. The Marines have a little spot over here somewhere. I think that's it right there, actually, which is interesting. We are either in the best spot for World War III or the worst spot. Worst because our enemies are
I
like,
talk
okay,
about
we're
this
going
all
to
the
bomb
time
that fucking place.
with Isabella.
Or the best because we have some good defense, right? I don't know.
Sure. Or you're close to water, get on a boat and cruise up the coast, go to Mexico.
I was talking to someone about that, and they're like, bro, they're going to bomb the shit out of Tampa first. Like,
Yeah,
what are you
first.
talking about?
First.
Like, we have MacDill. So yeah, I mean, a lot of changes, a lot going on, and this podcast has been cool for me to kind of witness the growth, but also talk to the people that are affecting the change.
And all over the map.
All
right?
over the map.
It's all different viewpoints,
Yeah, government entity, private developer, like all across the board.
different commercial tenants. Is this project moving the three towers? Do you have any
Yeah,
insight?
zoom in, Tyler. You see the little peninsula. There's like a little harbor.
Yeah, right in here.
You can see some docks. So I believe they have more townhomes planned along the road strip on the left-hand side.
Well, this is supposed to be tower
And then
2, tower
right,
3.
so townhomes in the front, just as they've done with more towers. Yes, tower 2
I
and tower
love this
3.
area.
West Shore Marina District. So not only do you have that residential, you also have some commercial tenancy, retail where the roundabout is.
Sure.
You've got like coffee shops, restaurants, Cruise Cellars. Doesn't Cruise Cellars have a spot down there?
The reason I asked if you think development will spread south is because naturally flood zone, right? And insurance has gone up. It's going to make it's going to again limit your buyer pool, right? Can they afford those insurance
On the
premiums?
macro scale, it will limit a buyer pool, but dude, like a $10,000 policy, paying that as a buyer versus moving to fucking Wesley Chapel, someone's just going to
Worth
pay
it
the
to them,
premium,
sure.
right? So
Yeah.
is development pushing down south? Yeah, it's pushing everywhere, but there's going to be people that want to live in the city. And a majority of the developable land is south of Gandy Boulevard, right?
A lot of the builders that I work with, kind of all over the map, but I would say a majority of them say that they believe Tampa has another 5 to 10 years of runway. You have a lot of new developers coming in. I think that's inflated the price of land, which makes deals tough to pencil.
Runway
But
for what though?
For residential development, tear down, build new.
I think
population
the rest of my
growth.
life will be
Growth in
a
Tampa.
runway. Yes,
Yeah, but I mean,
do.
I'm talking on the peninsula of Tampa. I mean, you could talk about pushing outwards to the suburbs, but
Well, it's an extremely high
South
barrier
Tampa,
to entry
rather.
because you're on a peninsula. You have
Yep.
water on 3 sides. There's no urban sprawl aspect to it. Like we're not in Houston where it can just bubble
Go.
outwards, or Austin, right? We do have water, which is prohibitive to new development. Now there are areas in Tampa that have been filled in, right? Davis Islands didn't exist. That was all dredged up and a man-made island. A lot of West Shore, some areas of Rocky Point were dredged up and actually created. And actually, like, dude, Manhattan, a lot of South Manhattan down there was dredged up. You can't do that anymore. And a developer today that would propose to dig up sand and build an island, can you imagine? Like, no one's going to allow that to happen.
for sure.
So if that's off the table, where's the development going to go? It's going to go up to Wesley Chapel. It's going to go out to Brandon and Riverview, down to Parrish. You're going to see a ton of suburban sprawl. That's the green swamp, the green area. That can't be developed. That's all preserved. That's where we get our drinking water that runs into the Hillsborough River. So besides that large like green area, a lot of this, all this other area will be completely developed probably at the end of my lifetime. It'll be like South Florida.
Keep raising the bar. I mean, it's truly changing.
Which I
every
hate to see, to
episode.
be honest. Like that's the development that I'm not against necessarily. Like people are moving here, they need a place to live, but that's the saddest for me to see is when you're driving on the highway and what used to be a forest is just completely cleared out with cardboard box. I don't know.
See, I haven't even
David
been here
Weekley
long
homes or
enough
whatever.
to experience that, right? To know that that's the type of change someone like yourself who's been here forever is witnessing.
You know
Right,
what,
But I see
though?
my own change. Like I've seen, downtown go from nothing to everything.
To me, that's so positive, right? It's like you're rising this development out of the ashes. I talked about that with Dave. What's his last name?
Who
I
are
forgot
the
how to pronounce it.
employers driving
Do you
this
remember,
growth?
Tyler? BE, whatever. But Dave with SPP, he's the executive vice president. And we were talking about there's really no like challenge to a 56 acre development in an area of a city that's just like abandoned warehouses and dirt lots. You're kind of rising this beautiful neighborhood out of the ashes. Daryl Shaw has a little bit different of a plan because it's a historic district. There's certain structures that need to be taken down.
Important to maintain some of the culture.
There's a cultural and a tenancy shift that needs to occur in order for that development to take place, meaning Ybor going from nightclubs and kind of the crime connotation it has to a more
Residential,
family-friendly, residential,
parks.
tourist location. Right. Like, so
I think we're witnessing a bookmark on Tampa's overall history. Like this will be a major tipping point. right?
Yes.
This last few years, which is very cool.
COVID and Water Street is like pre-Water Street is a defining moment.
Right.
Like you're going to be able to talk like that in the next few years,
Right,
where
so
it's like, hey, yeah, I was here pre-Water Street.
Anyone who's moved here in that 2020, span of time is really witnessing the pivot or the launch pad for what is today's Tampa and what will be the future Tampa, which is bananas.
What's the battery life? We got new cameras. 20%.
All right.
We'll go until that bad boy runs out. 12:31.
I mean, it's
we'll
just
see.
it's funny. Isabella always tells me when she was working for the Lightning, channel side and downtown and everything across from Amalie was nothing. So to know that and then to see where it's at now, it's one, inspiring, right? It's like, look at this city grow before your eyes. And then two, it's like, well, what's the potential here then?
We have a lot of problems that we need to face though, man, and those problems can be
Public
you
transportation.
can you can identify those problems in Austin, in LA, and some of these other markets that have experienced these crazy bull runs, and we would be really smart to look at those mistakes and try
LA.
to not make them. Yeah, like Austin, they had this insane amount of growth, and they had issues too with old Austin and new Austin, right? Like there's a lot of new people moving into an area, culturally different, different price point, right? Like the people that have lived here for a long time, like myself, are a little bit frustrated at the prices and at the growth and at the traffic and everything. How do we manage the growth? How do we make it more effective so that we can all kind of be in the same, I don't know, harmonious position? And the idea that you're going to stop development altogether, which I've heard, like I mentioned before, that's a recipe for disaster, because then prices are going to skyrocket and we're going to have even more issues. But then again, you can't just turn the faucet on completely.
Well, infrastructure development has to run adjacent to the development of actual property.
Right.
Right.
That's another thing. Infrastructure,
Can't
transportation.
stagger it. Like at Atlanta, we just saw that. Was it you who posted that? So what's funny is, I manage Georgia for iFundCities, and so I spend a lot of time over there. And one of the biggest pains in the asses or butts is their highway system is garbage, dude. It's atrocious. It's like 10-lane highways, you get off an exit, you need to immediately cut over 10 lanes to get off. You're constantly missing your exits. Traffic is brutal. And when I speak to, local Atlanteans, they go, yeah, so the thing is it's either 13 or 28 counties. They're like, we have all of these counties and none of them communicate with each other. So one will just build a highway and the other one will be like, oh, all right.
That's a big frustration, is like realizing that there's politics in the way of what is good for the people that live here, visit here.
It makes it tough.
That's going to be hard.
What are we on right now? Google Earth?
Go north.
Zoom back
go
out.
straight up. It's that big. North. You'll see it north. Zoom into that. That's ATL. That's the airport, and then you'll see downtown. So
this is
zoom into
South
downtown
Atlanta.
Atlanta. So
A lot of development southwest of Atlanta, really just south of Atlanta's urban core. And
dude,
Atlanta's got
Atlanta was one of
three.
the fastest growing metros in the last few years.
You could tell if
dude,
you're
they're like
if you're
number
there.
4 or number 3.
So they have 3 major
We're number 5.
downtown
Tampa's
areas.
number 5 metro.
Get out.
Crazy.
Behind who else?
Behind Atlanta, maybe like Dallas, Houston, which is crazy.
I talk about this with Ryan, right? When you compare a city like Philadelphia to Tampa, Philly is always experiencing steady growth, right? It's like a constant upward trajectory on development, whereas you look at a city like Tampa or Atlanta, and maybe they were stagnant, and then all of a sudden it's like, bang, boom, everything's being built. You have a ton of population growth, people moving here, developers coming from all over the country.
Go to downtown, Tyler. North.
Yeah. So you're south.
The Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, just granted $150+ million to Atlanta to fix their absolute mess of a highway system. Go top down, hit 2D if you can. Look at Mercedes Stadium.
Bottom
that thing's
right,
like a
Ty.
fucking spaceship.
Yeah, I know.
Crazy. But anyway,
it's very pocketed in Atlanta.
Their highway system is bananas. If anyone's driven through Atlanta, it's a fucking mess.
It's brutal.
So it goes straight through downtown. So downtown Atlanta is where the mouse is, right? It's where that kind of shifted portion of the street grid is. Midtown is north of that on the other side of the highway. The Department of Transportation has said, hey, we're going to give you a $150 million grant to fix this entire mess realign the streets and make it more walkable, and then properties that they're unlocking through changing the street grid, they're going to develop into mixed use projects.
So Atlanta, interesting about Atlanta is they're overbuilt on multi, and they have a lot of
Look at how much space that fucking interchange takes up.
It's
That
insane.
could be homes, businesses, etc.
everybody's pushing out of the city, and so a lot of the
Really?
yeah, they're overbuilt on multifamily in the urban core, and a lot of their residents are opting to move to the suburbs, and so again, it's very pocketed in Atlanta. But what I'm seeing a lot of is your local municipalities providing grants for low cost land, incentivizing builders to go and build entry level housing outside the city's perimeter.
They've talked about that in Tampa. Is that a land trust? Is that what that is?
Correct.
Yeah, they've talked about doing that here. What are you seeing the differences or similarities in development in Atlanta versus Tampa?
The price points are certainly different. It's more affordable in Atlanta.
Because they have more supply. They're probably able to build more. Like you just said, they've delivered an insane amount of units. The supply is lower.
There's a
or higher,
major,
rather.
so the biggest difference when I went to Atlanta and I mean, I've been to Atlanta when I was younger, but when I went to Atlanta for the first time this year, I had this misconception similar to Tampa where I would be able to get in my car, drive, street to street and find new construction here and new construction there and, meet the developers on site the way that I do things here. And it's not like that whatsoever. So you have a lot of infill development here. I would say most of the development that's happening in Atlanta, and keep in mind, it's, many counties, 18 plus or 13 plus, all of the development is outside pocketed planned communities. That is the development that they're seeing now. So they
like
have
subdivisions?
Yes.
Huh.
Plenty of.
But they don't have water, man. Like that I think that is a big difference. The fact that we're on a peninsula, we have a bay, then we have St. Pete, which is Pinellas County is another peninsula. How are we doing on battery? Are we toast? 15? Oh, we're solid.
Okay.
Look at what a mess though Atlanta's downtown is. Just the streets and the curves and it's
Every
just
street
looks
there is called
confusing.
Peachtree.
Yeah, Peachtree Avenue.
So there's major
I
differences.
love Atlanta though. Atlanta's a dope city. Do you?
I don't think I've experienced enough of it to give an opinion.
Well, you're going up
so I
there
don't
to
want-
work. You're
yeah.
probably, although you do dinners and stuff like that. They've got
I
great
haven't-
restaurants.
There's so much of it to explore.
Yeah.
There's so much of it to
It's
see.
also you can't go for a weekend and like try to do everything quick because
even close.
everything in Atlanta is like 30 minutes away.
Yeah, exactly so. Right. And then
Because the traffic is a fucking
and there's
nightmare.
multiple pockets of urban development, right? So you have
Right.
like 3 cities in the city.
Yeah, Buckhead, Midtown,
Love
downtown.
Buckhead.
Yeah, Buckhead's
Really enjoyed
amazing.
Buckhead.
But going back to Tampa, right? Maybe this is what the future of Tampa looks like, just in terms of
if they don't get aligned on infrastructure.
Well, we don't certainly want to turn into Atlanta. Look at that mess. I think Tampa has a more aligned street
We're
grid.
also more,
and
we're
more
grid style.
Grid style, which I love. Which part of it is like the landscape in Atlanta is very hilly.
Dude.
They have that to deal with. They can't necessarily have a street grid. Yeah, so back to that Tampa Heights YMCA development that Ellison is doing. Is that 110 East Oak, Tyler? Is that what that address is? Yeah, go north-south and zoom out so we can see where that is exactly on the map. That's in such a strategic position. North-south, top-down. And so that new development is in between Armature Works. Here, hit this little button right here is the compass, so that'll go north south when you do that, and then zoom out a little bit. So the reason why this development is really interesting is because it's in a fantastic position. It's in between Ybor City and the Armature Works kind of Tampa Heights development. So once all of that's complete, and you have some more infill right in the middle here near the highway, you're gonna have this really fluid, walkable, east-west avenue here on the north side of downtown. In addition to Gasworks, which is going to fill in this gap, Encore Tampa, and then south downtown, you've got Water Street. You have West River, which is on the west side of the river where all that there's like a large, looks like track baseball fields.
Yep.
All of that is being developed. Just north of that, Rome Yard. So zoom out just a little bit, Tyler, just so we can see the whole urban core. Think about the amount of units, square feet, right? Tenancy, businesses, whatever, that's going to be in just this central urban core pocket. If we don't figure out right now how to move people around, how to effectively manage stormwater, sewer system, the actual infrastructure of our city, we're going to be in a real shitstorm.
Look at this. I
Here,
mean,
do this.
thank you, sir. Look at Tampa, right? And then think about what we were just looking at in Atlanta.
Right.
Like,
That's dude, if all of this is one like walkable,
we're closer. We're
Yeah.
closer to that size for sure.
that's a big footprint. Like that's a big area. Like if you were going to walk from like a restaurant here or a shop or whatever, all the way down this way,
Take you a good bit of time.
that's a large city. That's my fear is like, what are we really looking at here? Like once all of this is developed,
I know.
just a fear in the sense of like, bro, if we don't have like an extended trolley system, a better bus network, more effective street grid,
Praying
not
for railway.
potholes everywhere. Like we kind of need to figure that shit out ASAP. That's what I was talking about with learning and being frustrated with some of these things that I'm hearing where it's like these getting ahead of growth is so important. Because once all this shit is built, now how are you going to go in and it's going to be twice as hard to build out a trolley system.
Have you had any conversations around a train system from here to Clearwater Beach and St. Pete?
We need to. I'm gonna try to reach out to like Brightline and some other entities.
That is
We need it.
truly.
We
We've
need
spoken
it.
about this. That is truly the game changer for this city.
I think it's more than a game changer. I think it's a literal necessity.
Yeah.
I think if you don't have that, what are you going to do? Everyone's going to Uber. Everyone's stuck on a road. Like go to any major city, whether it's in America, in Europe, wherever across the world. They have transportation systems outside of cars. You have to. Here,
So I got
Parallel.
it. I got it.
Frank's learning here. Plus, they've talked about expanding where the cruise ships are. That dumps off thousands of people that are going to enjoy that area. You've got obviously talks of a race stadium, but regardless of that, 30,000 people leaving Amalie Arena. How are they all going to get out of this mess once all of this is complete?
What's great is, or imagine this, right? You live downtown, so you have the downtown urban lifestyle, but there's a train system or a train station, downtown Tampa. You get on the train and it brings you to Clearwater Beach, right? You're there and back same day. You go back to your apartment at night. Like that's a lifestyle. A lot of people
Or fly into Tampa airport, hop on a train, you're downtown in like 10 minutes. That's the shit.
We'll see, right?
We'll see. Another guest that opened my eyes was Nathan Hagen. He represents a local YIMBY chapter.
Got it.
And he was talking about specific codes and zoning laws that city council could quickly change for no money because it's changing a law.
Sure.
That would unlock development, that would allow developers to build more density. So like 4 units where 4 units would be appropriate to go. ADUs, accessory dwelling structures, which I kind of hate that term. We used to call that like a mother-in-law suite or a carriage house or whatever. That's what we need. We need like a quick transition to allow developers to come in and build more supply, ease that price level down, and get more people in the urban core so that we can go to the federal government and get a grant for public transportation.
Right.
Like everyone knows the growth is coming, but we're not at a point where we can get the funding and the availability of, as an example, a rail or a trolley network or something like that. But we know it's coming. So it's like, how do we bridge that gap and get the funding for it?
I'd be
now?
curious to hear the mentality of the decision makers behind that, why they're not getting ahead of that, why that isn't a bigger conversation now.
Well, I've spoken to a couple people offline, and it's all very political. And there's special interests, and there's this lobby and that lobby, and the state government and the Republicans want this, and the Democrats want this, and there's no compromise here. It's a fucking mess, dude. It's an absolute mess.
You would imagine, right? Like you could figure that. Right?
You could,
why else?
You know what? You could figure that, but hearing it,
it solidifies
and
it.
realizing like, oh, that's real. Like, oh, that's our holdup is ourselves. That's fucking annoying.
Yeah, but
that's frustrating.
If it's anything similar to our our government, right? The America's government in general.
Am I
right?
surprised? No, not at all.
No.
And, well, it's such a shit show at the top level. Like, why?
So
wouldn't
naturally,
that
there's a trickle down effect. Yeah,
which
of course.
sucks. It shouldn't be that way. I think there should also be a clear separation between local government and federal government.
I agree.
Like
Dude.
why would our local government talk about abortion, all of these national issues that muddy the water? Are those important topics? Yes. We don't need to talk about that. Let's fix the roads. Let's get more transportation
Yeah, how do we
here
make
locally.
the city a better place to live for its residents?
How about the local
Period.
government works for the people here locally? Leave all the bullshit to the federal government. They can
Please.
deal with that on a
Please.
national level. Plus, it's an election year. Everyone's a little excited right
You
now.
get it.
Hopefully that switches.
G.
Love you, dude.
Love
We got to
you too,
run. Frank, you the man. Who we having on next week?
Is this
What's
going to
the
be
song
the
called?
Which one? Time zones. Is this our
Next week, Tampa History Podcast, Rodney Knight Powell from the Tampa Bay History Center. That's going to be a super sick podcast. Tune in, everyone. See you next Friday. Thank you guys for watching this episode. If you enjoyed it, make sure to like it. Check us out on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, give us a comment, give us some feedback. We want to know how we're doing. Thanks for watching. Bye, everybody.